That's not even the piece of music we're playing, he'd scream. Jesus, can't you people read? The friggin' title's at the top. I got the hell out of there as soon as I could. I decided to go it alone. I didn't really want to talk to anyone around there anyway. Everyone was either fucking stupid, acting crazy, or trying to be stupid. I started skipping classes. I'd head straight for the library and look for books to read. I figured I'd learn better on my own. In a couple of months, I went through a lot of Kurt Vonnegut after I picked up Slaughterhouse-Five by accident. The librarian, this guy named Mr. Crane, who was pretty cool, he told me that if I liked Vonnegut, I'd like Joseph Heller. Catch-22 was so good, I read it over and over. Hunter Thompson's Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas was next. Those three kind of explained my life to me. Those guys see the world filled with monsters and freaks, and the scary shit is that it's the monsters who run things and make life hard for the rest of us. They corrupt everything they touch. When you're surrounded by crazy shit, just like Yozani in the Catch-22, you have to go with it. Be just as crazy and absurd. I can relate to that. Life is completely unpredictable, but somehow you have to be able to find out a way to deal. Although I tried to stay out of everyone's way, the teachers couldn't leave me alone. They called my moms and told her I wasn't coming to class. She tried to get tough with me and ask me where I was going, but she wasn't very good at it. I'd promised that I was going to stop screwing around and go to school, but I just couldn't do it. After a couple of months of this, they kicked me out. I didn't care. I was relieved. But my mom got sicker, and my Aunt Naomi came and took her and my little brother Anthony to L.A. He was still a baby, only a month away from being 4. They left almost 2 years ago. I moved in with my Grams because she was the only one who offered when no one else wanted me. I think she felt responsible because her son had split on us. She lives on the west side. It's rough, but I'm no stranger to the barrio. I grew up here more than any other place. Living with Grams meant that I had to go to Edgewood High. I go to school every day because Grams doesn't play the way my mom's did. After Mom's fell apart, she didn't have the strength to make sure that I went, so I didn't. But Grams has plenty of strength, and she makes damn sure I get up. But she couldn't be around at school with me. Every day something had to go down in that place. There were some crazy fools at that joint. It didn't take shit to get into trouble around a place like that. I got busted for having a quarter-ounce bag of weed in my locker, and that was it for me. They had a zero tolerance policy, and that means I can't go to high school anywhere in the Edgewood School District for a whole year. That's when Grams called Sunnydale Christian Academy. But here's what nobody knows. I've decided to make it a go at Sunnydale. I have to keep my Grams happy while I institute my plan. See, I'm not going to stick around this place too long. I'm LA bound. I'm going to get together some money, enough to get over there, and lay some on the table in front of my mom's. I turned 16 and I can drive and work now. And I'm going to show my mom that she needs me around to help her out. When she was here, I couldn't do much. I almost wigged out myself. I know that all the shit I did contributed to her falling apart, but she needs to know that it isn't like that anymore. My shit's wired now, but I got to bide my time around here until I'm ready. Skip ahead a little bit. My Grams works. She works at everything she does. She cleans wealthy white women's houses and takes care of their complaints. But she's never been one to take any nonsense. She gives as good as she can get. Even now, after she broke her hip, she limps along with mad authority and a cherry wood cane that's all knotted up. She uses it to punctuate her slow dignity in case some sucker ever doubts it. She speaks English, but uses only Spanish in her barrio, especially when returning something to a store or making a complaint to a white clerk or manager who is used to pushing meek Mexicans around on our side of town. You should see her standing there with her cane in her hand, her proud dark Indian face, iron gray hair pulled back severely in a traditional Mexican bun, and demanding that her terms be met. When I was a kid, I'd stand behind her and watch cocky anglers melt before my Grams' Mexican indomitability. When it became clear that she wasn't going to leave or even speak in English, they'd begin to stammer in broken Spanish until they could no longer talk out their argument, and they realized it was just easier to give in. My Grams is smart. She learned this trick from bolillos who intimidate Mexicanos because they can't debate anything if they don't speak English. Grams flipped the script early on and showed me what you can do if you don't back down. She drives a big muted yellow Buick that Gramps left her when he died. I never knew him. She drives herself everywhere, even though she's getting old. She's got to be near 70. But even when her back hurts so much it keeps her up all night pretending like she wants to finish knitting or something, she gets up tough the next day to go to work. I told her the other day to go see the doctor. I don't need no doctor, she said. Those doctors, their whole job is finding something wrong with you so that they can make their money. I don't got nothing wrong with my back that Doan's pills won't cure. She tells me all the time about growing up a migrant worker. That was a tough gig, let me tell you. Her mom was dead by the time she was 8, and she had 5 brothers and sisters younger than her who she had to learn to take care of. Imagine that. 8 and already a mom. She never did get to go to school, only picked up a little here and there in migrant camps once in a while. She always has to ask me to come to help her with adding up things, or she'll look up in the middle of paying her bills and say, "Roberto, how do you spell 13? She's always trying to teach me how to be tough because she knows I need to be. You don't ever feel sorry for yourself. Nothing ever been easy for Mexicans. You got no choice, boy. The best you hope for is that God lets you see the problems coming so you can get ready for them." She's old school. She went through the Depression, Mexican style. That means poor, sick, and getting chased off like a dog by cheating-ass farmers and the like. So I got to believe her, especially now. I mean about trouble. It comes and it comes. I'm trying to learn how to see it better. Gramps is cool from way back when my folks were still cohabitating. She'd roll up on Saturday mornings and pick me up. That meant Pizza Hut, going to the grocery store, and my $1 allowance. You save that up and you'll have enough to buy whatever you want, she'd say. She was like that. Don't get the wrong idea, though. I had to work for that dollar. Every week I was in her big backyard mowing, pulling weeds, helping her plant shit. Then she'd send me to the store to buy some ice cream. I'd take my bath, eat good, and watch Star Trek for my treat. Then in the morning, what she called early, she'd wake me up to get ready for church. Once when my pops went on tour with some salsa band he signed up with, my mom's went with him, feeling like she needed to be on the scene and make sure he'd come back when it was over. I lived with Gramps for what felt like a year. That was the first time my parents left me, but back then, at least I'd get a postcard or a phone call once in a while. Gramps always would tell me too, they'll be back with it, but very soon, they'll be back to get you and take you to your house. She has this huge, creaky, heavy gray metal fan on a wheel feet. She would roll it out of the bedroom to the living room. It made a terrific noise when it was turned on, like the propellers of an old airplane. Back then, when I was homesick and missed my parents, I would listen to that fan and pretend I was on a plane to wherever they were. I know it's a joke to pretend that anymore, but I still listen to that fan every night to help me get some sleep. I'm an insomniac. The house is cool, it's small, but it seems bigger on the inside than you think when you see it from the outside. It's like amazing there. Little halls go in different directions with lots of musty closets that are filled with old, mysterious stuff. Pictures of people who are dead but look like they might have been up to something interesting in those black and white days. My Gramps keeps my Gramps service revolver in one of those closets. I used to jack around with it when she wasn't home. Even now, I find books all the time in those closets. When I was a kid, I found a set of old encyclopedias from just after World War II in a closet. It had this long-ass section on Hitler and the Nazis. Big black and white portraits of these evil fuckers that kept me reading. I was all freaked out all day when I read about Goebbels and how he had gone home and watched his wife give all their kids strychnine before they offed themselves when they knew they'd lost the war. Twisted. But the best book I ever found, though, was this Time Life book all about natural mysteries. It was divided into space, the animal kingdom, the ocean, and the earth. I read about black holes, the Loch Ness Monster, vampire bats, and volcanoes. All the stories had color pics. That book smelled good with its heavy, oily print and thick, bitter, glossy paper. There was a small public library in Las Palmas Shopping Center where Gramps took me to get my first library card. I was about 8, and she watched as I picked out a book on World War II and another that gave you the lowdown on the lives of the presidents. It was cool to come home from the library with a stack of books and take a nap. I'd go to sleep looking at them, sitting on my desk and thinking, when I wake up, I can grab one of those and start reading. When I was younger than that even, and there was a book fair at school, Gramps would give me $5 and I'd spend all weekend long figuring out how to get to the most books for my money. From the book sheet that the teacher would give us on Friday. Man, it was torture waiting for Monday to roll around, but it was better than Christmas. Next door there lived two little girls, and they're usually playing in the yard. They're new to the neighborhood. I never see the mother around during the day. She works. The old man is always there, but usually in the house. I think he's an alcoholic. The yard's all fucked up, grass overgrown and choked with weeds. The house needs painting. It's a raunchy-looking yellow peeling and puckered all over. But the dad doesn't do shit except yell all the time. The little girls don't even seem to mind it, though. Or at least they do their best to ignore him when they can. But they do all right, so long as he keeps inside and doesn't bother them. They're friendly. The older one is about 8. Her name is Tina. The other one is named Ruthie. But she's only about 5 and she says her name, Ruti. Sometimes for kicks, I have conversations with them. I like to watch them because they get along so well and they play. They never fight. I feel sorry for them because no one pays attention to anything they do. One day, the older one knocked on my door and asked me if I could have some water, if she could have some water. I thought it was strange, and I asked her where her mom's was. She told me she was at work and that her daddy wasn't opening the door. It made me good and mad, that goddamn drunk not opening the door for those little girls. I gave them a glass of Kool-Aid to drink. My Gramps wasn't home, and so I let them sit in the house and watch cartoons for a while because it was so hot outside. How come you live here now, the older one, Tina asked me. Who takes care of you? I thought it was a strange question because no one seemed to be taking care of them. Tina's got these dark black eyes that stare at you. I just moved here. My mom is sick. Well, why don't you take care of your mommy if she's sick? She asked as if I was lying to her. She went home to be with her mommy, I said. It felt weird talking to a little girl about my situation. She seemed to take the hint, though, and the two of them sat there and watched the Flintstones until my Gramps got home.